soon as I see like one person in the conference, I'm going to start. So
Okay.
As soon as I see one person on, so just give it a second. Everyone is listening to that intro message that you recorded. Okay, we are just leaving our first message, and here we go. Good evening, and welcome to tonight's telephone town hall with UFCW Local 99 President Jim McLaughlin. My name's Kim, and I'll be the moderator for tonight's event. We're going to begin in just a moment, and we're very excited to have you join us. Before we begin, a few quick points to make. Right now, we're in the process of dialing out to hundreds of UFCW Local 99 members, so just stay on the line, and we'll be hearing from President Jim McLaughlin shortly. Also, we want to hear from you. If you'd like to ask a question about our current contract negotiations, please press 0 on your telephone keypad, and you'll be connected directly with one of our volunteer operators who will take down your question. Again, press 0 to ask a question. If you've just joined us, bear with me. I'm going to go through this one more time. Good evening. Welcome to tonight's telephone town hall with UFCW Local 99 President Jim McLaughlin. I'm Kim, and I'm going to be the moderator for tonight's event. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We're in the process of dialing out to hundreds of members, so just stay on the line, and we'll be hearing from President McLaughlin shortly. If you want to ask a question about our current contract negotiations, please press 0 at any time during this event, and you're going to be connected with one of our volunteer operators who will take down your question. Again, press 0 to ask a question. And now, without further delay, it's my pleasure to introduce UFCW Local 99 President Jim McLaughlin. Jim?
Thank you, Kim, and thank you, everybody, for joining the call tonight. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to get on this call and hopefully receive some good information about what's going on in our negotiations and what's going on with our local union. First, I would like to wish everybody a happy Rosh Hashanah and hope that you have a very happy New Year. The role, as many of you know who have participated in this in the past as an advisory member, is critical to the success of our negotiations. And as a reminder or a refresher for those of you that have participated, or information for those of you that are wondering how you became part of this advisory committee, I will tell you. It's because first you were recommended by your union representative. You are an employee who cares about your coworkers and the people that look to this industry for a career, and you care about your future. You're responsible, and you're usually the level-headed person in the store who can get the information out to your coworkers in a quick and informative manner. You're not just a good union member, you are a great steward or activist member of this union. You care about this union in the industry that you work in. And you're here most importantly because we want you to be part of this process, the process of negotiations. I am trying some new techniques, some technology tonight with this phone call. Hopefully you find it to be something convenient for you. I'm doing my best to keep the meeting, this phone call, to under a half an hour this evening, but I will take as much time as we need to get the information out to you. And I will continue to try to make these meetings as convenient as possible into the future, but I will likely meet with, schedule a meeting in person at a later date. As you should know, the contract for your retail food store, Fry's Marketplace, Smith's, and Safeway Arizona, expires at the end of October, October 26th. We've been preparing for these negotiations for the last couple of years. Earlier this spring, we completed an online polling with our members and also gave our members the opportunity to put in writing some of their desires for negotiations. In July, we completed the polling, and we identified the priority issues that our members have. The priorities were clear: wages, health and welfare, and pension, which, as those of you that have been on the advisory committees in the past recognize, that those are very similar to the issues that we deal with every bargaining session. When we look at wages, health and welfare, and pension in those polling, we analyze that to determine the direct needs of our members. And it really comes down to increasing wages, maintaining health and welfare, and maintaining pension. Now, as we look at those priority issues, we have to take into consideration what is going on throughout the country. And we have talked about this in the past at our meetings. As you look at Southern California, who just completed their contract negotiations a few months ago, they did a 2-year contract with one bonus and one raise in that 2-year period of time, some money going into health and welfare and some money going into pension as part of that deal. They recognized, though, that negotiations were complicated, and I'll get into that in a few minutes regarding Arizona's negotiations, but they got into the fact that negotiations are complicated for Southern California as a result of the Safeway-Albertsons merger going on there. There's probably no place in the country where the overlap for retail food between these two chains is greater than in Southern California. Both chains operate union in Southern California. Both chains operate under the industry contract in Southern California. And because of such immediate competition between the two companies basically dealing across the street from each other, there's going to probably be a number of stores closed there, or at least sold off to other operators. Dayton, Cincinnati, which is a Kroger unit, was recently settled. The significant change in their contract was around health and welfare. They increased part-time coverage from the typical part-time hours. In our contract, it's 20 hours a week for health coverage. They've increased theirs to 28 hours a week for part-time coverage, and they don't have a 28-hour guarantee in their contract for hours for part-timers. In Atlanta and also in Indianapolis, recent contracts have eliminated coverage for spouses. Spousal coverage is obviously hugely important to our members here, and we're watching that to make sure that our members continue to provide for their entire family, and spouses included. New Mexico is currently in negotiations, our neighbors to the east here. They're having very difficult negotiations. The Health and Welfare Fund for New Mexico is in a critical state. They are looking at potential cuts in benefits, and the concern is whether or not the employers can put enough money into that fund to make it viable. And then as we look at what's going on here in Arizona, we obviously have made changes in our health and welfare plan that we think gives us a level of ability to continue with our current level of benefits for quite a while. Our pension is doing much better than it has been in the past, but we're still in a place under the rehabilitation plan that was set out in 2009 where there's not a lot we can do for improved benefits, but we are currently monitoring our pension fund. But I think the biggest issue that's facing us in these negotiations is the merger of Cerberus Albertsons and Safeway. This merger, as a result of these two chains coming together, could be catastrophic for our Arizona members. Catastrophic in the terms that a non-union chain, Albertsons, is taking over a union chain, Safeway. Now, I have some level of comfort in that 110 Safeway stores and 30 non-union Albertsons stores, we have a little more strength in the union stores and maybe a little more ability to leverage that strength to hold on to our members' jobs and in our contract. But it is something out there that's putting pressure on our ability to negotiate this contract as we look at it. Because we don't know the timing, though, of the merger when it gets approved by the FTC, we have to be aware that it should happen sooner rather than later. Once the approval happens and the merger takes over, we will be dealing with a new company. So it is my goal to try to get this merger done. To try to get these negotiations done as quickly and efficiently as we possibly can. We would like to get these done before the contract expiration, which is at the end of October, as I said. And if we can get them done before the end of October, I believe we'll be fine and that the merger will not have occurred yet. if we can get contract negotiations done and the contract ratified, we don't expect any problems with the new company as they come in and the current collective bargaining agreement. We're looking at potential language we can put in the contract that guarantees our members, makes guarantees for our members for their future, and we will certainly be trying to put those into the contract. Now, some of the things that we obviously are concerned about with the Safeway merger is a decision to maybe close union stores and keep non-union stores open. And the effect that that may very well have on our health fund and our pension fund could really harm those funds, and especially at a time when both funds seem to be doing okay. Our health insurance fund, as I said earlier, is doing fine, and our pension fund is doing well too. But if you start closing union stores to operate non-union, that will put pressure on those funds, and it could turn them rather quickly. So with the uncertainty of the Safeway and Albertsons merger, we must get negotiations done quickly. But the other issue that it creates is whether or not we try to do a long-term deal or a short-term deal in these negotiations. A long-term deal, typically 3 to 4 years, doesn't seem very practical as we look at what's going on, because it would, if we can't get something settled with Albertsons about the non-union stores, we're going to want to get back into negotiations sooner rather than later to try to address the non-union stores. My goal, and I look to what they did in Southern California, is to potentially do a shorter, maybe a 2-year contract that gives us the ability to go out and negotiate the contract, get it done, and then to work on the non-union Albertsons stores to help those workers get the same contract that the Safeway workers have. We, in the next few days, or within a week or so, we will be sending a proposal to the companies for a 2-year contract that takes care of the priorities that you all set out in your questionnaire: maintaining health and welfare and pension, and improving wages. We're also going to be looking at some parity of contracts, in particular the marketplace agreement. Fry's operates Fry's Food and Drug Stores, as you know, and then they also operate marketplace stores. And the marketplace stores have a separate group in the department store that has a totally separate contract. We are going to look for a way to create some parity between the department stores and the grocery stores, so that everybody working under the contracts for either company will be at the same pay rates and have the same terms of an agreement. I am confident that if a 2-year agreement will give us a chance to get to the other side, kind of the shakeout period of this merger, and we will obviously know by the end of this 2-year period how many stores may be affected by this merger. Our goal, of course, is to make sure that the union stores, the Safeway stores that currently operate union here in Arizona, continue to operate strong and continue to provide service to the consumer, and that once the integration of the two companies is over, that many of the other stores ultimately can become union. And those are my quick comments, and I'm going to throw the call back to Kim for our first poll question, and then we will take some questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Jim. Before we go to that, I want to remind everyone that if you'd like to ask a question of President Jim McLaughlin, all you have to do is press 0 on your telephone keypad, and you'll get connected with one of our volunteer operators who will take down your question. Again, just press 0 to get in line to ask a question. Before we go to the questions, though, we want to go to our first poll question. So everyone on the phone, you can just respond to this by using your telephone keypad. So our first poll question is this form of meeting convenient for you? So is this telephone-based meeting convenient for you? Please press 1 if it's yes. Please press 2 if it's not. Please press 3 if you're unsure. So again, please press 1 if you think that this form of a meeting is convenient. Press 2 if it's not. And press 3 if you're not sure. We'll get back to those results a little bit later. And again, everyone, you can press 0 if you'd like to ask a question. Jim, we have been getting a lot of questions, though, specifically about the negotiations. So will the negotiations be completed before the Safeway and Albertsons merger, or before it takes place, or will that be later?
Thanks, Kim. That's a great question. I think that we have to get these negotiations completed and ratified before the Safeway Albertsons merger is done. I think that gives us, as I said earlier in my call, I think that gives us the ability to have a contract that is ratified and one that we're dealing with the people at Safeway who have had the long relationship with you all, with all the Safeway members and us, and a contract that's been in effect for quite a while. So I appreciate that question, but yes, I think it's important to get it done before the contract expiration, and more importantly, before the merger is completed.
Thank you so much, Jim, for that answer. We want to go to our next poll question, and then after that, we'll go back to the questions. So we want to go to the second poll question, everyone. So again, you can just respond by using your telephone keypad. So our next poll question is this something that the local should look into doing more of in the future? So are these telephone town halls something that we should look into doing more in the future? So even outside of this negotiation process. So please press 1 if you think we should be doing more of these type of things in the future. Press 2 if you don't think we should. Press 3 if you're not sure. Again, press 1 if you think that this is something we should be doing in the future. Press 2 if you don't think it is. And press 3 if you're not sure. One of the next questions we got in is, one second as we get that question. So one of the next questions we got was, what happens to my pension benefits when Albertsons takes over, or if Albertsons takes over? So what would happen, President McLaughlin, to everyone's pension benefits at that point?
Thanks for that question. The pension is guaranteed under federal law. And so our members that have a pension right now that are vested in the Desert States Pension Plan will continue to have their pension, and believe that that we're going to have a strong pension long into the future. So right now, don't expect anything to happen to the pension, and right now under current federal law, it would be illegal for anything to happen to the pension.
Great. Thank you so much. We want to go to one of the questions that we got from the audience now. And again, everyone, if you'd like to ask a question, all you have to do is press 0 on your telephone keypad, and we'll get you queued up. You'll get to talk with one of our volunteer operators, and they'll get your question through. So our first question then comes from Lisa from Holbrook, and she was asking, will there be any layoffs with the merger once it's complete?
Thank Lisa for the question. We're not expecting layoffs, especially where Lisa works in the outlying areas. With the protection under the union contract, union members have seniority rights and privileges, and I don't expect any layoffs for the union side of this chain. The company always has the ability to do that, and if it ever comes down to a layoff, it's certainly by seniority, and the last hired is generally the first let go in a layoff, and if it ever came to that, that's what would happen. But I don't expect any layoffs, especially in areas where Albertsons and Safeway don't compete directly. But if there were layoffs, it is bargaining unit wide. It's not by store, so it's for all of Maricopa County, for all of Pima County. That's how layoffs would be handled, but we're not expecting any.
Got it. Thank you. Again, everyone, you are on a live telephone town hall with UFCW Local 99 President Jim McLaughlin. And if you want to ask a question of Jim, all you've got to do is press 0 on your telephone keypad, and we'll get you in line to ask a question. So our next question now comes from Sean in Tucson. He's saying, Jim, that there's a lot of rumors going on. So what do you recommend that we do about all these rumors?
Well, that's usually something I cover, and I guess I forgot to cover it tonight. Rumors are something that we should make sure we don't spread in the stores. If you hear a rumor, a manager drops, a rumor out there, or you're hearing something, get a hold of your union rep. the best way to verify whether something is true or not is to get us to your union rep, let us run it out there, and we can check it out and get an answer back to you. But the worst thing we can do is spread it throughout the stores. That causes some sort of panic and ultimately weakens our position at the bargaining table when we're trying to get a contract done.
Got it. Thank you so much, Jim. Again, everyone, you're on a live telephone town hall with UFCW Local 99 President Jim McLaughlin. Again, everyone, press 0 on your telephone keypad if you'd like to ask a question. Debbie from Gilbert was asking, will they try to take away our preferred plan insurance? Can they do that?
Thanks, Debbie. They can try to bargain anything they want in contract negotiations. As we know, employers come with a laundry list. But we made some changes in our health plan last time, as you may remember, 2 years ago, where we implemented the partnership plan that has been effective. Nearly 75% of our members under the Plan A now participate in the partnership plan. We are seeing great results from that. It really has turned into a model for health funds for the rest of the country. And as a result of that, I don't see how the partnership plan would even be considered to be cut at all. And I will tell you, the union absolutely looks at that as a strike issue, and we're not interested in doing anything that cuts the benefits for the participants in Plan A. If there's anything we need to do, we need to look at what we've done with Plan A and make sure that we replicate that in other places, because it really just makes our plans that much stronger, and it allows us the ability to provide better benefits to our members out there. So I don't see that as a major concern right now.
Got it. Thank you so much. Again, everyone, press 0 on your telephone keypad if you'd like to ask a question of Jim. We'll get you in line to be queued up to have your question read on the air. So we have a lot of great questions tonight, so please be patient. We're going to try to get to as many as possible tonight. We now have a question, Jim, from Leah from Scottsdale, and she was asking, what are the differences between the Safeway and Albertsons benefits?
Good question, Leela. The biggest difference is that one is a company plan, and the other is a plan that's administered by your union and negotiated based on contributions that your union negotiates. The plans for Albertsons employees have different requirements for part-timers, and the company makes all those decisions. The plans on the company, the rules on the company plan are all determined by the employers. The premiums are all determined by the employers. And on the plan, the union plan that you all participate in, those are things that we ratify during contract negotiations, and that we really make sure are representative of the needs of our members. And so it's not driven necessarily by profits for a company as much as it is a desire to provide benefits to participants. And so that's the most significant one. Pension for the Albertsons workers, I think most of them participate in 401k type pension plans, and that's about it.
Great, thank you. Again, everyone, you're on a live telephone town hall with UFCW Local 99 President Jim McLaughlin. If you'd like to ask a question, just press 0 on your telephone keypad. We'll get you in line to talk with one of our volunteer operators. So our next question comes from Lena from Peoria, and she was saying that we have 30-plus Albertsons in Arizona. So how, as union members, can we help get them unionized?
That's a great question. I really appreciate the question. We have to get them unionized. We really have to start talking to those workers, something, though, that we're probably not going to be able to do until this merger is done. But the most important thing is to, when you come in contact with an Albertsons worker, and you will, once this merger is done, I'm sure there will be some integration of different employees moving between stores. We need to talk to them. We need to talk to them about being part of the union. What we can do right now in our own stores is sign people up for the union. Before the Albertsons merger even happens, we can sign them up for the union. So find a coworker who's not a member yet and get them to join. Sign them on an application. If you don't have one, call your union rep. They'll bring you in an application. But it's very important that we continue to build the union with Safeway employees so that when the merger takes place, we can start organizing those Albertsons workers. But thank you.
Great, thank you. Again, everyone, press 0 on your telephone keypad if you'd like to ask a question. We want to go to our next question now. It comes from Todd in Chandler, and he was asking how much will there be an improvement on the pension? So what kind of raise are we looking for on this?
So right now, Todd, on the pension, we are in what's called a rehab plan. Back in 2008, during the crisis, the economic crisis that hit our country, pensions were put into tailspins and lost a lot of money. And we came out of that with a rehabilitation plan, a plan to fix what was lost in the pension. And as a result of that, we're really unable to make improvements in the pension until we get out of the rehab plan. We're still a couple of years from being able to get out of the rehab plan. So there will be, I don't expect, nor do I think it's possible for any raises in the pension at this point. But what I can tell you is the things that we have done have secured the pension so that everything that we have earned up until this point are secure and should be available for every single one of our members. But thanks for the question, Todd.
Got it. We want to go to our next question from Sergio in Phoenix, and he was asking, will we have ratification meetings as we have in the past?
Thanks, Sergio. Yes, of course. Anytime we end up changing the contract, especially after an expiration of a contract, but anytime we end up changing the contract and the economics of a contract, and we do vote that by our members, and our members get the final say in that, and that our members have to approve a contract for it to be for us to be able to implement it. At some point, our members will be given the chance to vote on that, but we will definitely be bringing that back to y'all when we get done.
Got it. Thank you. Our next question, and again, everyone, if you'd like to ask a question, please press 0 on your telephone keypad. Our next question comes from Frederica from Mesa, and she says she's been collecting pensions from California since early 2008, and she recently received a letter saying their fund is still in critical status. Is our pension fund in Arizona guaranteed by law?
Thanks for the question, and thanks, Frederica. We're going to do just as I'm looking at the clock here, I wanted to try to keep everyone to 30 minutes. So we'll take this question and one more after this, Kim. So I appreciate you doing that. Yes, the California Pension Fund, the Southern California Pension Fund, is where I suspect Frederica's fund is in critical status. There are different levels, or actually they've characterized them by colors. There's a red status, yellow status, and a green status fund. Our fund in 2009 was a red status fund. Today it is a green status fund under a rehab plan, which means that we're going to continue to improve, that our fund is fine as long as we're in this rehab plan. When we graduate out of the rehab plan, our fund should stay in green status. That's the whole reason that you have a rehab plan. So to answer your question, yes, the pension plan here is secure. It is both secure by definition of green status, but it's also secure because ERISA is guaranteeing our pension fund. So you should feel very comfortable in this fund. And I know, by the way, the locals in Southern California and even Northern California are doing a lot to protect their pension funds too, and they're making the investments and they're making some of the right decisions, and those funds should be able to come out of that status. So why don't we take one more question and then we'll sign off, Kim.
Sounds perfect. Well, we've been getting this question quite a bit tonight, so this would be a good one to end on. So what can we do to get the best contract possible?
Stick together. It really does come down to all of our members talking to their coworkers, keeping them focused on the fact that we've got to get a contract that guarantees their personal success and also guarantees the success of these companies, and to make sure that our Safeway members are as united as ever, that we avoid rumors, and definitely avoid the rumors, and we sign up our coworkers and we build this union. This doesn't work unless everybody is a strong member of the union and supports it. When you look at what a merger with Albertsons may mean for our Safeway stores and their ability to compete, it will give them a leg up in the retail food industry here in Arizona. They will be able to compete as a larger chain on an equal footing to Walmart and to Bashas', and they will continue to be able to compete, and that's going to make us all a lot stronger in our future negotiations. It should do some really good things. So, most important thing is be aware of what's going on, avoid rumors, and sign up people for the union.
Got it. Thank you so much. Again, everyone, thanks so much for joining us for this call. Unfortunately, we can't take any more questions, but hold tight. You'll be able to leave a voicemail at the end of the event with your question. Before we sign off, though, I want to pass it back one more time to President Jim McLaughlin for any final remarks. Jim, anything else you'd like to close with?
Thanks, Kim, and thank you, everybody else. You know, I know the polling questions that we asked earlier, I think, really spoke to the convenience of this phone call and how much our members appreciate it. We've had more people on this phone call than we've had in any single advisory committee meeting that we've had at any time in the history of the local. Several hundred people were here tonight on this call, and I hope everybody takes the message back to their stores. We are doing what we can to get information out as quickly and efficiently as we possibly can. We may be looking at using this format in the future, and if anybody on this call can think of a way that we can do it more efficiently or more effectively using this format, please get that information to your union rep so that they can get it back to us as we plan these for the future. But I do want to thank everyone for taking time out of your evening and spending it on a call with us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, President McLaughlin, and thank you all for joining us for this call. Unfortunately, we couldn't get to every question. If you have any additional questions, please just stay on the line, and you're going to be able to leave a voicemail at the end of this event with your question. So thanks, everyone, for your time, and have a great night.